Hi, welcome back. At the end of the last video you will have seen that the steering was making a horrible grinding noise. What you didn't see was me spending an awful lot of time trying to figure out how to get the steering column bearing out and eventually giving up on that. Anyway, I fixed it. It turned out all it was the steering shaft was rubbing on the steering column down at the firewall end, and now it's all fixed. The steering is nice and silent. So that was a simple fix. Happy days. Next thing I need to do now is get on with building the exhaust. So I need to take the wing and the wheel off the passenger side and get the car up in the air. So I'll do that and then I'll see you back there in a minute. Okay, I've got the wheel and the wing off, and I've got a selection of lengths of pipe and bends and things, and this straight through muffler. See down there, sorry. This is hot. There we are. See straight through it. 2.5 inch diameter inlet and outlet, and it's going to go here somewhere. I need to try and figure out. This obviously is the bottom of where the wing is, and I want the tailpipe to just stick out a bit past that. So I'm thinking if I mount that somewhere like that, that'll tuck up nicely, and it keeps access to the spark plugs and the injectors and everything all nice and clear there. The pipe needs to obviously come off the turbo, down and round, and sort of up and down into that. So I think the first thing to do really is to sort of fasten that in place somehow with cable ties or something like that, and then sort of work from that, I think. So yeah, we'll do that first. We'll just position that wherever it's going to go. Just put a bit of string around it or something just to hold it in place temporarily. Right, I'll do that and come back to you. Okay, so that's held in place with a cable tie and a couple of exhaust clamps. So it's not finished, obviously, but it is in the right place. I've just tried the wing back on, it fits nicely. So now I need to figure out how to get from there down here and up to the turbo. It needs a bit of length on it because I need to be able to fit the wideband sensor, which needs to be a certain distance away from the turbo, otherwise it will burn it out. So the old exhaust used to come off the turbo, round here, and then swoop down and go straight out, sort of there. But I never liked that, which is why I'm doing this, and it's all hidden away. But I need to figure that next bit out now. I've only got 2 of these. 2 of those that I can cut to any angle that I want, and I've got a straight pipe as well, and connectors and things obviously. So I don't really know what I'm going to do yet. I'm going to have to make this up as I go along, I think. So this is very much a how I did it, not a how you should do it video. So I'm going to pause the camera while I do a bit of thinking, and I'll come back in a minute. Just put the wheel back on because of course the other consideration is that I've got to not hit the wheel. So yeah, I thought I'd better put that back on so to make sure I've got enough clearance for that as well. Right, here's where I'm up to so far. I've got the muffler in place, it's mounted off the bumper mount there, and a bracket welded to this part of the inner wing there. It's solid mounted, but the engine and the gearbox are solid mounted as well, so that's not really an issue. Then we've got this pipe that goes up through the inner wing and then comes out there, but it's pointing down and it needs to point up because the turbo's up here. So this point here is, let me show you on this piece. There's another piece the same there. Where the inner wing goes through is kind of there. So my plan is to cut that piece exactly in the middle and then rotate one half round so that it lines up with where it needs to line up on the turbo. And then I can make a piece that goes from the turbo to meet it, and it'll all be nice and straight. So to do that, I need to take all this off, get that piece out, mark it up and cut it. Right, it's really important that I cut this exactly in the centre here, or at least on a straight line from the centre point of the radius. Because if I don't, the cut end won't be round, it'll be oval, and that's going to make it very difficult to weld back together again. So I've put it in the drawer here because the corner of this drawer is square, so I know that that is now square, so I can use this as a straight edge, and I know exactly that I'm cutting it in the right place as long as I've measured it to the middle. So the first thing to do is measure the size. So if I stand that up there like that and measure from that point to there, I get exactly 265 mil. And if I do the same there, 265 and 265. So I know that that side is parallel to that. So if I measure half of 265, which is 132.5, there, then from this point to 132.5, then I've got myself the exact centre of this. To do that, I will use the steel rule instead, just because it's easier. So 130, 31, 32.5. There is my cut mark. I'll just mark that a bit clearer with this. Set my 90 degrees there. Make sure that's tight against there. Make sure that's against there. Right. Although you can't see it, I can see a mark there exactly where I need to cut this. Now, how am I going to make sure that I'm cutting it exactly round? Well, there's a trick for that. Hang on, I'll pause the camera and go and get something and show you. Cable tie. If I put that round there, because where it's round is going to be where it's the shortest circumference. If you do it at an angle, it's going to be longer. If you put a cable tie on exactly where the mark is there and pull it tight, that's going to find itself the exact circular part. See, you can't really twist it, but it follows where you need to cut all the, it follows where you need to cut all the way around, you see. So where I need to cut is there. So that is where that goes. I'll draw around that with a pen now and then cut it out. So there's my cut mark. I'm going to cut it by hand with a hacksaw just so it's a bit more controllable, make sure it follows the line perfectly, and then I can rotate one half round and get it lined up with the turbo. Quick update, I'm not doing it by hand, the hacksaw blade is blunt, I'm just going to have to use the little disc cutter there and go really carefully. Right, now that I've cleaned all the swarf out the inside of there, I'm going to line it up in here. Excuse me. Line it up on the pipe there, and line it up with the turbo, and just mark with a pen where it's going to go, and then I can tack it together and then see see if it actually lines up. Right, got some marks on the pipe there and there. If I line those up and tack that together. Alright, I'm going to drop it then. Get those lined up, tack that together, and then that should line up nicely with the turbo, and we can carry on. So now all I need to do is get from the V-band on the turbo to that. I've got another one of those 180-degree bends and a couple of straight pieces. So I've got all the angles I need, I think. So now it's just a case of figuring it out, measuring it, and working out where to put things. I'm also going to put a join here along this straight part somewhere, so that the engine can be removed without taking the whole exhaust off, because that's going to be a pain. You can see it's hidden under the wing and it's going to be difficult to get to. So if I can leave all that on the car as much as possible and just disconnect it here and pull the engine, that's going to make life a bit easier for me. And then I need to, of course, take the dump pipe and feed that in somewhere. So right, what's next? Don't know. Weigh it up, I think, and see what happens. It looks like this might be easier than I thought. If I put that in the end of the turbo there, obviously just be careful not to damage the thing. Oops, clang, clang, clang. Anyway, put that in the turbo there and cut it so that it's the same as the other one, so it's right in the middle, so it's got exactly a 90-degree bend. I can then make it move that way by just cutting that end off so that it lines up exactly with that pipe, and then that pipe can be trimmed back to wherever it needs to be and it can be welded together. That will work, I think. Yeah, I'll get this marked and get it cut like I did with that other one. So that line there is where I need to cut it in order to make the joint. So we'll do that next, and that'll make it a bit easier to get things in and out as well then. So there's the pipe now coming out of the turbo, and just need to make a very small piece just to connect those two together there. It's just going to fill that gap. I'm not going to weld it to that one because I've got a clamp to go over there, like I said before, to keep it all so that it can come out in one piece. But this looks really good, and the engine will pull out this way, and all this will clear the bodywork here. So to take the engine out, all I need to do is undo that one clamp and then pull the engine out. So that's a bit of a bonus. That I wasn't really expecting that to work like that. So right, measure this up next, I think, and cut a small piece for there, and also mark that and cut that end off and weld the V-band flange on, so that can be clamped into place. And yeah, that's looking good. Right, I've marked the pipe here with the blue line, which you can just about see, which is where the flange face needs to be. So I'm going to mark it on the back here, all the way around, so that I know what position to put the flange back into, and then I can move it that way, cut between the two, get it back in position and tack it on. It's a little snag that's delayed things slightly, but I've sorted it now. The new V-band flange that I've got here is actually bigger diameter on the outside edge there than the one on the turbo, so the clamp wasn't tightening down on it. This is the original clamp. So I bought a new V-band in the hope that it would have slightly smaller diameter flanges, and it doesn't. However, what it does have is a new clamp with a much deeper throat, I suppose you'd call it. That bit there, oops, I'll point to it, that bit there is deeper, and this does work. So happily I can use that flange and this new clamp, which has got the benefit of having a normal sized nut on it rather than 11mm like that one has. This is just a 10mm, so that means that will all work now and I can carry on. Hey. I'm just looking at the mounting brackets here. This one is the bottom, and obviously the one at the top there. And if you look at the line of the exhaust,
I think there's a danger that the tyre is going to hit it under hard acceleration, so the whole thing needs tucking in slightly that way. The way I'm going to do that is modify this bracket here and cut it off. The other thing I need to do is move them down a little bit, or move the silencer up, so that this clamp will also hold the tailpipe in, and this clamp will hold this together here. So they need sort of, that one there needs moving up this way slightly and tucking in towards the inner wing. So I'm going to take it all apart, cut that one off and reposition it. Okay, so I think this is the final position now. We've got the end clamp there in a position where it can clamp down the tailpipe. We've got this clamp here, which is clamping this pipe into the silencer. This hole just needs adjusting slightly because I moved the position of this mount. All this pipe's moved down slightly, so that just needs enlarging there. And then the pipes line up pretty well there, up to the turbo. And of course the clamp now works. So I've now got a spare V-band, which I might try and put on there, and I'll use it there if I can get the flange through here. And of course, if that other clamp, wherever it's gone, if that other clamp actually clamps the new flanges together, because don't forget I'm using the new clamp on the existing flange, and I've got, there it is, we've got the old clamp there to clamp the new flanges together, which should work. I'll check it first, otherwise I've got that sleeve to put on instead. It's a good job I checked, because it doesn't fit. Look, it just rattles around inside there. There's no way that's going to hold tight. So no worries, I'll put the other clamp on, that clamp there, and I can always convert to a V-band later on down the road. I'm hoping to get this whole thing ceramic coated at some point, so it's got to come off soon anyway to get that done. So yeah, I'll deal with that later. So the next step is to use this offcut to make a piece to fill that gap, and then weld it to this piece, not that piece, this piece, and then that clamp will work because it needs to be on a straight piece of pipe to work. So I'll measure that up, pull this off, and then cut this and weld it in. So it needs to be 30mm on top. There's the mark, 19 on the bottom. So I'll mark that out now and cut it. Well, that's it marked up. Just needs cutting out now. Right, that's everything clamped in place. It's dead solid. Very happy with that. All the positioning's correct. It doesn't quite come out of the turbo at 90 degrees, but that's all right. That's all nice. That's all nice. That's all good. This is all solid. It'll all clear the wing. Right. I think all I need to do now is take it off and weld it all up properly. So I'll see you at the bench in a minute. Right, with it all welded up, all I need to do now is put in the boss for the wideband sensor, which is going to go about there-ish. It needs to be on top or around this side somewhere. I'll put it straight on top. There's enough room above the exhaust, you know, with the roll cage and whatnot. So just on top there seems to be the easiest. That needs a hole drilling and then welding in. Right, that's it, all welded, all clamped into place, nice and solid. I'm a bit concerned this joint's going to leak, but whatever, if it does I'll get a V-band on it instead. So the next thing to do now is get the original wastegate dump pipe, which used to go down there, and unwrap it, because it's got a heat wrap on it, cut it up so that it goes from here into there somewhere. Probably, I don't know, probably at an angle might be neatest rather than straight on, but yeah, we'll perhaps try and do it at an angle in that way, around there somewhere, just so it looks a bit tidier. If it goes straight in, it's going to obscure the fixing bolts here, so that can't happen. It needs to go that way. So yeah, that's the next thing. Go and unwrap that, cut it up, make it fit. I think I've changed my mind again. This is the wastegate dump pipe, and I was going to angle it round and go into the main exhaust and off that way to get rid of all this. But a couple of things. First of all, I quite like having a small tailpipe there. It adds a bit of a sleeper look to the car. And the other thing is, it actually clears the fuel line down there. Not by much, but it does clear it. Now the thing is that this doesn't have that much gas flowing through it. It's only when the wastegate's open, which is most of the time it's not open. So, because it's got a 25 psi spring in it, so it stays shut a lot of the time. So I don't think that's going to get that hot. So I don't think heat on the fuel pipe there is going to be too big of an issue. But I'll wrap it anyway. So I've just unwrapped it for nothing. I'll rewrap it. I'll wrap this and this piece, probably the silencer as well. And then I'm going to call this exhaust finished. So I'll take it all apart again for one last time and wrap it all up. Right, there we go, that's it all wrapped now. I've done the silencer, that pipe there, the pipe from the turbo and the wastegate dump pipe. The other headers were already wrapped previously. So yeah, really pleased with how that looks. I've no idea what it sounds like yet. I'm going to put the wing back on and I'm going to make a tailpipe, because the end of the silencer there just ends like that. So I'm going to make a tailpipe that comes down and has like a slash cut level with the ground, perhaps just peeking below, just peeking below the bottom of the wing there, so you can just see it, but obviously it can't finish up here in the wing. So yeah, I can't do that until I've got the wing back on though. So that's the next job. Put the wing on, connect the lights back up again. I mustn't forget to put the O2 sensor or the wideband sensor in that hole, otherwise it's going to leak from there. Yeah, so take the wheel off, take the bumper off again, because that goes through the wing, put the wing on, put it all back together again, and then make a tailpipe. So that's the angle that the tailpipe's going to come down at. I just need to cut it off sort of there-ish, I suppose, just so it extends a little past the wing and is level with the ground. So, right, and that's it trimmed down. I've just painted it with some VHT paint just to give it a bit of protection. I don't want it looking rusty, but yeah, that's all good. As you stand up here, you can't really see it. You can just about see it there, but it's just got the little tiny tailpipe, which makes it look a bit more of a sleeper, which I'm happy with. Right, I'll just get the thing back together, back on the ground, and then I can start the engine and see what it sounds like. Right, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Cheers, bye.